we will look at the ethics, ethics by law, MIA by law, and also professional judgment and also professional skepticism. Okay, I hope you have actually read the, have gone through the slides and also my recorded lecture. Okay, so that you know what I'm talking about, because I'm not going to refer to the slides, because I would actually refer to the main source of the slides itself, okay, which is MIA by law. Okay, so that you would know what is actually MIA bylaws says with regard to the ethical requirements for accounting, accounting profession. Okay, let me share first the MIA bylaw. Anyone has seen the MIA bylaw before? Anyone? None? This is the first time? Alamak.
First time.
First
Seen
time,
it.
aduh. Okay.
Have seen it before, madam.
Seen, madam.
Okay, good. For those who have seen, have you actually gone through or just see the cover page, or I mean particular section? Okay,
Gone through, madam, but already forget.
already forget. Okay, then at least you have gone through, so roughly you know what is actually inside there. Okay, this is MIA by law, so it is actually like a law, okay, an act, meaning that this is actually cover accountant, okay, or accountant. When I say accountant, it can be accountant by profession, it can be auditor, all right, it can be finance people. Okay, so if you recall Accountant Act, okay, for those who know Accountant Act, okay, in the Accountant Act there are specific Schedule 1 which actually spell out about degree that being recognized by MIA, okay, to be accepted as a chartered accountant. And if you are not recognized, therefore normally they will go for qualifying exam, okay, for them to be recognized so that they can practice as an accountant in Malaysia. Because if they are not registered in Malaysia, actually they are a bogus accountant. Okay, so it's actually similar to our professional profession, such as doctor. Okay, as a doctor, for you to practice, you must be registered. Okay, for lawyers, for you to practice, you must be called to the chamber. Okay, so in a way, it's actually very important for the accountant profession to be recognized, to be registered, okay, so that we know whoever that actually doing the practice, giving out the services, okay, either to the public or to the company, they are actually the one that competent, okay, to give those services. Okay, so this MIA by law, okay, is actually talking about ethical conducts that accountant need to do or to perform when they do their work. Okay, so it's actually cover all accountants. Okay, so when talking about accountant, it's actually cover whoever that recognized as an accountant as mentioned in the Accountants Act. Okay, MIA by law, which is issued by MIA, okay, Malaysia Institute of Accountant. But in the first place, it is actually being developed based on the Code of Ethics, okay, or International Standards on Ethics from IFAC. Okay, so as you recall, I did mention before, in auditing, okay, we have many standards actually, okay, and the grandfather, okay, or the grandfather, whoever issued the standard is actually IFAC, International Federation of Accountant, okay, which is internationally issued for the whole world, okay. So normally Malaysia will go to that international standards and see to the context to the context of Malaysia per se. So this is actually being taken from IESB, which is issued by IFAC. Okay, so to suit the Malaysian context. So that's why we have MIA by law. Okay, so under MIA by law, so this one has been revised. So normally it will be revised as the IFAC or IESB develop changes, okay, change requirement, then definitely the local context will also align to the changes, okay, in the international level. Okay, so that's why whenever we check all the regulatory frameworks and so on, always must refer to the most updated one. Okay, so this is amended as at 30th May. Okay, and what is actually the content inside MIA bylaw? Okay, so we go to the chapter. Alright, there are a few parts. Basically, there are 4 parts. Okay, part 1 is actually talking about the very fundamental. Apa tak turun pula ni? Okay, the very fundamental concept that or very fundamental principle that accountant must follow in terms of ethical conduct. Okay, in terms of ethical conduct. So if you see here, okay, if you refer to my slides, I did mention the first 4 criteria, okay, which are integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, and also confidentiality. Okay, so integrity is all related to individual accountant as a person. Objectivity also refer to the individual accountant as a person, because in order for you to practice, you yourself as an accountant, you must be objective, you must have integrity, and then the next part, you must be someone who have the relevant competency, and also someone who know how to handle confidential informations. Okay, so the first 4 is actually more to govern the behavior or the attitudes of the conducts of the individual accountant. Okay, the next part is actually talking about professional behavior. Okay, professional behavior is actually refer to the behavior of the firm, okay, of the audit firm per se, and also because later on you will see there are actually 2 parts of accountant that we are actually looking at. Okay, but of course the one that I touched in the class is the one that refer to the professional behavior of the audit firm. Okay, how the firm should do their practices and so on. Alright, the part 2 is actually refer to professional accountants in business. Okay, so professional accountant in business is actually refer to those who are working as a preparer. Okay, so preparer means you are actually part of the management in the company who prepare the financial statement. Okay, because in a company, when you're talking about accountant, all right, you can be the one that in the finance department. All right, you might also be accountant, but you might be working in the HR department, or maybe treasury department, or maybe corporate planning department. So you might not be necessarily working in the finance or accounting department. Okay, but since you are carrying the profession, you work as an accountant as a profession, therefore you actually obliged to follow the requirement of your conducts against the MIA bylaw. Okay, so PAIB or professional accountant in business is actually referred to those who are actually working in corporate sector. Okay, you might be in the bank. Okay, you might be working in the manufacturing company, so any kind of business. Okay, so you can also be a management accountant. You can also be tax accountant. You can also be treasurer. Okay, you can also be financial controller. So as long as you hold the degree or kind of like so-called accountant. Okay, that means you have the accounting qualification in such a way. Okay, so that is the first criteria. But of course, we are not going to look into that too much because we are in the auditing perspective. So we actually looking at the part 3. Okay, so part 3 is actually talking about conducts of an accountant in the public practice. Okay, so public practice means that you work as an accountant and you serve the public. Okay, how you serve the public? Of course, when you work in the company, you also serve public, but you're more governed by the company per se. But when you work in the audit firm, okay, and you can also be non-audit firm, right? Okay, so you actually serving the public because you are actually the external party who is actually monitoring or doing the checking on the financial statement of the company. Okay, so on behalf of the shareholders ultimately, and of course on behalf of the stakeholders. Okay, because remember you are being appointed by the shareholders during AGM. Okay, so that's why ultimately you are liable to the shareholders. Okay, report to the shareholders, but in general you're also liable to the public per se in general. Okay, so for that matter, that's why they spell out, okay, what are the conducts that accountant in public practice need to do. Okay, so that is what the rest of the slide is actually mentioned about how to handle your conflict of interest, how to handle professional appointments. Okay, if you remember, I have one slide on the, if you are being appointed, okay, what will you need to do? Because of course, before you be appointed, if the company has been in business, they must be auditor. So what do you do with the predecessor auditor? What do you do in order to accept or not to accept the appointment and so on? So these are the do's and the don'ts that you need to know when you have or when you fall in that situation. And then second opinion will actually tell you when, in what situation you would need for second opinion. Okay, and then if you realize nowadays, okay, because this one also quite new, not to say new lah, but since all the financial scandals around the world and so on, okay, so it's actually also quite another practice, part of the quality control practice in the audit firm, whereby you have first partner, you have also second partner. Okay, so second partner would actually do the second opinion in case first partner want to look for second opinion. Okay, so these are the things that normally will spell out. Okay, about the fee, how you would determine the fee. Okay, how would you determine the remuneration for the work that you provided to the client? Okay, and then in terms of gift, okay, what can you get? Okay, when client give you something, let's say sometimes when you go to client, I'm sure you might have been treated by the client to the good dining. Okay, so can you accept that or not? Okay, so to what extent we can accept, to what extent we cannot accept. Okay, and then in terms of the custody of client assets, sometimes client ask you to look after their assets. Okay, so these are the so MIA bylaw is actually telling auditors per se. Okay, so accountant in public practice is actually auditors, external auditors. What could be done, what cannot be done. Okay, so if you go to the specific section, then you would actually see in detail what I have already summarized in the slide. Okay, and then of part 4A, capital A, and also part 4 later on you will see. Okay, this one is actually spelled out about the conducts. I'm not going to go into detail about this, but just for your own knowledge. So the most important thing for you to know is actually part 1, okay, part 1 and also part 3. So if you want to have a quick reading, okay, for those who wants to know in detail, all right, because as you can see, I give you a slides on the scenario. Okay, so those are kind of question that you would have, okay, when in order to see your judgment in making or in analyzing the scenario about ethical issues, okay, about ethical conducts and so on, which is to be benchmarked against MIA by law requirement. Okay, so that's why if you want to have in-depth understanding, okay, you can actually refer to this MIA by law. Okay, you can refer to this MIA by law. So the most important part is actually part 1, okay, the definition about the what's this about the 4 component just now, and also part 3. Okay, so these are the 2 parts that if you want to read further about the explanation, okay, with regard to the conducts of the auditors and also conducts of the audit firm. So you must be able to differentiate, okay, is it talking about the conducts of the audit firm, or is it talking about the conducts of the auditor? Okay, because auditor is an individual, all right, and then firm as a firm practices, professional behavior of the firm or professional behavior of the partner. Okay, all right, and then just now I just want to give you some idea, okay, give you some idea about the part 4. Okay, part 4 is actually talking about, okay, because some of you that day did actually highlight about the services provided by the audit firm, okay, because you are concerned about, okay, auditors, audit firm provide audit services, which is assurance services. At the same time, auditors also provide non-assurance services. Okay, is where what are the do's and the don'ts that auditors can do or cannot do. Kenapa dia jam-jam ni? Okay, part 4A, they are talking about when you provide assurance services and review services, what do you do? Okay, it's talking about the most important thing is talking about independence lah. Right, so when you provide audit and review engagement, how you want to maintain your independence? So this is more talking about the threats to the threats to the independence. Okay, so what do you do if you have all these kind of threats, and how you handle that when you have the assurance and review engagement? Okay, just a understanding of review engagement. Okay, audit, you know lah. Okay, that means you perform the audit of the financial statement. Okay, review engagement is actually where you just go, okay, to the client and you have a quick citing of the documents or whatever, and just a simple review of the evidence. Okay, it's not very extensive of work compared to audit. Okay, so for instance, you are being asked by the company to review, let's say last time we have GST, right? Okay, so for the GST form 03, they need to submit to the authority. So they will actually ask the auditor to come and have a quick review. Whatever figures on that form is actually tally to the financial records of the company. Let's say for instance, so the auditor will go and then just verify, okay, figures on the form tally to the financial statement. That's it, and then they chop and they sign. Okay, we have review and the figure is actually tally to the records. Just a simple work. That is review. Okay, audit is actually very extensive. Okay, and then so these are all the assurance engagement. Okay, and then they mention okay, they mention what are the threats if you perform those kind of work. Okay, and then the other part is actually talking about how you handle your independence when you provide assurance engagement other than audit and review engagement, meaning that is actually referred to non-assurance services. Okay, non-assurance services not only like consulting okay, consulting, advisory, so anything, okay, any other work beyond assurance and services. So this is actually the part that actually govern the conduct of the advisory arm under audit firm. Okay, under the Big Four, for instance, right? Because you have, as I already mentioned that day, you have assurance services and also you have the advisory arm. Okay, because advisory arm, they would actually provide lots of consulting services in terms of financial reporting aspect, in terms of business, in terms of risk management, in terms of internal audit, in terms of Sharia audit. So any other job by nature of consulting or advisory. Okay, so this topic, you have one specific topic which you will cover later after sem break. Okay, so this is actually the part of MIA bylaw that spell out about the conducts of the auditors in the case when they have non-assurance engagement. Okay, and then last but not least, okay, these are the professional conduct and practice when you are being recruited or when you are being registered as a chartered accountant. Okay, so I'm not sure, have you attended the MIA care session for this semester? For some of you, especially those graduating, have you attended that?
No.
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 No. How should I say? No. Any information is regarding to that?
Yes. No.
Because so far no. Because by right you should have been attending. You should have attended that session before end of the semester actually. Okay, just a quick because I used to be the coordinator that now is being taken over by someone else. Okay, it's like this, just your general understanding, because what happened is that the moment you grad, you have degree. Okay, when you have degree, it's just like lawyer lah. Okay, as a lawyer, you have degree with law, you cannot practice as a lawyer yet. You have to go for chambering. Okay, all right, you have to go for chambering. And then once you call for to the chamber, then only you can practice as a lawyer, where you can go to the court, present the client, and so on, so on. Okay, so the same thing with the accountant. Okay, as an graduates from accounting degree, the moment you grad, you cannot call yourself accountant yet. Okay, so that's why normally you are required to go through a certain number of years of training, okay, in the area of accounting. Okay, so that's why after this you still need to go to certain area of accounting. So by right, during the MIA care program, they would actually explain what are the area that you can go, because not necessary you might be working in the accounting or finance area. You might be working in IT, you might be working in the purchasing department or logistic department, you might be working in treasury or analyst company, but you still can actually get your accountantship, something like that. Okay, so you need to get a relevant number of years, normally minimum 3 years. Okay, so that's why I'm sure you heard about work in audit firm 3 years, then only after that you go anywhere that you want to go. Okay, because that is actually for you, in a way, at least you get yourself recognized as an accountant. So that means you are not practicing your accounting work as a bogus accountant. Okay, so that is actually the whole idea. Alright, so for you to register, so the moment you actually have that fulfill that requirement, so just like lawyer, you call to the chamber, so the same like you lah. Okay, so you'll be called to be a member of MIA. Okay, so that is how MIA govern the members or govern the accountant per se. So that's why I said just now, accountant by profession, meaning that you not necessarily be in accounting department or finance department or treasury department. Okay, you can be in any other different department in the company, or even in the consulting firm, or even in the audit firm, but you still so-called governed by accounting profession. Okay, so I hope you get the picture. When I say accountant, is actually much broader than accountant who work in the accounts department. Alright, so this is actually the requirement that spell out. Okay, so the moment you are being called, you'll be recognized as a chartered accountant. So normally you have induction, okay, and then you have to fulfill the CPE. That means you have still to attend the training. Like myself, I still need to go to on annual basis. I still need to go for a training to update my knowledge, to update my information. Okay, so that to keep abreast with the current situation or current practices and so on. So that means you are not doing something obsolete. Okay, so that's why it's a lifelong learning process. Okay, even if you work as an accountant later on. Alright, so this is actually further explained. And then if you see here, you're talking about designatory letters. So this is where you can put at the behind your name. Let's say you are chartered accountant, so you have C.A and then in bracket M. So we know that you are chartered accountant. And then if you are fellow of ACCA, then you can actually put in. So that's why sometimes you see certain people behind their name, they have so many abbreviation. Okay, so meaning they are actually a members of a certain professional body. Okay, that means you are actually registered, you are actually a qualified person and so on. Okay, so that is actually how to reflect that you are actually a qualified or registered accountant. Okay, so that's why is it important for you for accounting profession to be regulated, or at least not to say regulated so much lah, but to be governed, okay, or to be monitored? Because just like doctor lah, okay, would you like to see the doctor who is actually bogus doctor for you to say opinion about your sickness? Okay, would you want to do that? Of course, if you look for MC, you don't care lah. You are willing to go to that kind of doctor because for you to for you to get MNC. But if you are really sick, do you think you want to go to that kind of doctor? Definitely no, because it's actually have impact on your life. Okay, so it's more of for you to protect the safety or the interest of the public in general. Okay, so that's why it's actually very important so that you understand why is it important for you to require a certain numbers of years of experience, and then for you to get qualified to be a qualified accountant and so on. Okay. So in general, that is actually what MIA by law is actually talking about. So it's more of a law that governs conducts and behavior of the accountants, auditors, and also audit firm, and also non-audit firm, and also those advisory or consulting bodies who is actually carry on the work of accounting in general. Okay, the second part of the slide is actually talking about judgment. Okay, why is it important for all of us to comply with the MIA by law? Okay, so if you recall, being an accountant, being as an auditor, okay, these two the most common. You are always involved with the judgment. Okay, you are always involved with the judgment whereby, let's say example, as an accountant, right? Okay, you buy an asset. Okay, you buy an asset. So what will you do with the recognition? Okay, first before recognition, you want to know the management. All right. Okay, how much you want to recognize? Okay, and then would you recognize as an asset, or would you recognize that as an expenses? Okay, what made you choose to go to recognize that as an asset rather than as an expenses? And why you choose to recognize that as a 1 million instead of 100,000? Okay, so you need to apply your judgment. All right, so how you so when you do your decision, you need to make a judgment. Of course, your judgment is actually based on your understanding of how the FRS mentioned about recognition of an assets, okay, or expenses. Okay, they already split up, so it's more of principle based. So it's actually just spell out what are the what you need to do when you have this situation, you have this scenario. Therefore, you interpret based on your judgment. Okay, so be involved with a lot of judgment. Okay, what is wrong when your core ethics is actually something not working right or fully? Okay, for instance, you by right, according to ethics, you are supposed to be ethical. You're supposed to be a person with an integrity, but you choose not to comply to that. Okay, so what will happen? What are the impacts? Okay, a common impact is that let's say for instance, just now I'm talking about buy assets. Okay, you should recognize that based on the FRS. Let's say they say that, oh, this one should be recognized as an expenses, but you choose to recognize as an asset. Okay, so you choose against to comply against the requirement of the standards. Okay, right. So is it fair? Okay, is it right for you to do as such? So this is where it's actually very important for a person, accountant per se, okay, to understand what they need to do in whatever situation that they always face during their working time or their working period and so on. Okay, so it's actually more of your values, your principle, okay, for you to do, in you doing your job on daily basis. Okay, so let's, for instance, you work in a company, okay, and then your boss said, all right, I want you to change the figure on the invoice. Instead of putting 10,000, I want you to put 100,000. What would you do? Okay, would you follow your boss because your boss have the right to terminate you? Or you would actually refuse to follow whatever the boss required you to do. So it will go back to your ethical values, okay, your principle. What will you do? Okay, so this is the scenario or situation which is common in real life, right? If you meet your seniors, right, who have been working in the practices, regardless whether they work in the audit firm or whether they work in the company or corporate whatsoever, you will find this kind of situations. Okay, you will find this kind of dilemma. So what would you do? Okay, so this is where this MIA by law would actually govern, okay, the do's and the don'ts, so that for you to know when you do your work, especially when you apply your judgment, okay, you know how to apply the right judgment. Okay, of course, in the best interest of the public per se. Of course, the first place, if you work for the company, in the best interest of the company and also shareholders. But for the case of auditor, of course, you look for the best interest of the of the public lah, okay, shareholders, and of course immediately after that will be stakeholders. Okay, so that's talking about judgment. And then skeptical ni is more applicable for auditors lah, okay, because auditors deal with a lot of documents, evidence, management representation, okay, for you to collect evidence and so on. Sometimes you ask client say A, and then you go back tomorrow, you ask client again, or client say B. So which one you want to rely? You want to rely on the A yesterday, or you want to rely on the B statement today? Okay, so you need to apply your judgment, and also you need to apply your skepticism. You have to be skeptical. Okay, so that's why if you met ex-auditor, you will kind of see, okay, especially for those who have been long in the auditing line, that they quite skeptical. That means they would not accept anything at the face value. Okay, they always query whatever the facts that come to them. Is it actually true, or is it actually fair? And of course must be supported with the evidence. So that kind of attitude is actually, when you join in audit, you will be trained for that kind of style of thinking. Okay, so that is skeptical. Okay, that means you would never husnuzon but it's just that you always like question whatever that comes to you, just like nowadays lah, when you receive WhatsApp, email, message, whatsoever, you always question. Okay, you always tabayun, okay, is it right or wrong, okay, for you to share with others and so on. So that kind of thinking, right, that you need to apply to your work in the auditing line, especially. Okay, so in general, those are the things that I would like to highlight to you, okay, based on the slides, and also based on the key points that you need to know, okay, because I don't think I need to explain too much, because when it comes to the question, how you want to apply, okay, it's more important of how you want to apply to understand the ethical issues and so on. Right, so of course you need to know what are the requirement of the ethics or requirement of MIA by law. Okay, I think that's all on my part. You have any question? Okay, any question from the? Yes.
No, madam.
No. Not at all. No, even a single question. So everything is very clear. Okay, kalau very clear, we do exercise lah. Can?
Can, madam.
Where is? Okay. Okay, have you all read the one slide that I already shared with you?
Dah, madam.
Nah.
Yes.
Okay, kali ni I nak you all bercakap seorang-seorang. Walaupun I ada 100 lebih student. Alright. Okay. Mana pula tu? Sekejap, I tengah cari I punya document. Okay, I found. Okay, anyone would like to start? Okay, anyone? I assume all have read? Or should I give 5 minutes for those who have not read? Maybe some of you have not read. Okay, I give you 5 minutes. 5 minutes boleh? 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes for those who have not read the case, so that you know what's going on inside the case. Okay. Ready ke? You all ready, or you need to few more minutes to discuss with your friend if you think you need to do that, so that you know how to handle. But I nak tanya, I would like to ask individually after this.
A few more minutes.
A few more minutes. A few more to how many minutes? 5 minutes? Okay, I give you all until 2:50. The clock is 2:45 now.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Buat kerja Discuss. Okay, can we just discuss, chit chat, okay? All right. These are sample of the question that you will get for ethics. If I'm talking about ethical questions or ethical scenario, these are kind of the question that you will actually have in the exam lah. Basically, you're given scenario and you have to detect what are the ethical issues inside the question and who are the person that actually involved, okay, who are the parties that involved and which particular part ethical conducts that actually they non-comply with. Okay, so that's why your general understanding of MIA by law, okay, is actually very important. So you have to tackle what are the key issues. That is where sometimes students are unable to detect. Okay, so that's in general when I design the ethical question. So these are the sample of the question where you have quite long scenario. Okay, so for one question like this one, it can be like 20 marks, okay, or 50 marks or something like that. Alright. So therefore you need to know how to put your answer, okay, how to, because for you to earn that 20 marks, if you know the technique, that would be easier actually for you to earn marks in answering audit question. Okay, so that's one. Okay, second thing, normally when you have this kind of question, you question required question first. Okay, so in this case it mentioned here, did I share my screen? I cannot see you all pula. Okay, alright. So you all can see on the left hand side or whatever side lah, on your side, you can see the word part, can you?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
madam.
Alright. Okay, so if you refer to the question, you can see that they're actually talking about based on the above engagement review, okay, operator telco company or group, evaluate and discuss ethical issues, okay, and other professional matters. So actually, your question is actually referred to this. Okay, these are the part that you need to focus. Actually, the question want you to identify ethical issues or any issues related to professional matters to conduct lah. Okay, in respect of the planning and performance of group audit. So later you would have one topic on the group audit. Okay, so what are the do's and the don'ts during your group audit? Okay, so actually whenever you do your group audit, the non-group audit, some of the procedures are all actually the same. Alright, so now you're actually talking about you want to assess, okay, based on this scenario, what are the ethical issues or professional matters? Okay, I'm sure you have read. Okay, there are few ethical issues here. Okay, let's go para by para. Okay, Ken Low and Company, a firm of chartered accountant, is an external audit provider for Retro Telco Group. Okay, and the company is actually doing manufacture of mobile phones and laptop computers, and the group obtained a stock exchange listing. So that means this is a listed company. Okay, and the audit of the consolidated financial statement for the year is near completion. So that means now you're actually talking about you're in the midst of doing financial statement audit for year end 28 February 2015. Okay, almost towards the end. Right. Okay, so those are the basic information about the case. And then you are a senior in the audit department. So now you have to know what are the role that you are actually playing. All right. Are you a junior auditor? Are you a senior? Or are you a manager? Are you a partner? So you have to know. Okay, you're actually looking at what ranking or what position. Okay, so you are the senior department. So you are responsible to do the engagement review of this listed client. Okay, so you have discussed with the junior members what you want to do and so on. Okay, what you need to carry on. Okay, so that is the second para. Okay, the rest of the para is actually talking about issues. Okay, now I want to start looking for my partner in crime. Okay, be ready
Madam, can
Yeah.
I volunteer?
Ah, close. Please go ahead. That's what I'm looking for rather than I pick one by one.
Should I like go according to the sequence, or can I just
Go
choose?
by para boleh. Let's try by para. Can? Or you don't want?
Okay.
Boleh.
I want
Mesti
the
awak
last
ada
one is the
like-
easiest.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead. Last
Last
one. That's
one?
para, is it? My
Yeah.
everything all easy lah, straightforward. Okay, the last one. This one, the financial controller, is it? Which
Yeah.
one? This one. This para,
Yes.
The financial
Financial
controller
controller
who
also
asked,
asked for the advice
Okay, go
from
ahead.
the junior.
Okay, go ahead.
This paragraph has issues because juniors, they do not have like the enough experience for them to be competent, for them to give advice, like being an advisor for the tax planning. So there's the issue of like professional judgment of the junior correct or not, because we all know that accounting, there's a lot of judgment involved. So for to give judgment, they have to be very competent and should have like more experience.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye. Thank you.
No, ya bye. Cepat je, Sakina. Alright. Okay, first thing, what is actually the main issue? Right, you highlight say something, right? But the key issues, what is actually the key issues? Okay, the underlying issues. Right, now you're talking about financial controller, which is management. Management is actually asking opinion or advice. Right, so this is actually advice. Ni dia. Mana punya kesa? Sorry lah, I tadi nak cepat, my spec left at home. Okay, advice Alright. I need another person to give another view. Come on.
Madam, is it
Yes.
because advisory and auditing should be separate?
That is the key issue. Correct, exactly. Okay, so now that's why the earlier para is actually important for you to know your context, to set up your context. Okay, you are now actually doing engagement review. Okay, you are doing engagement review. So in engagement review, are you supposed to give advice or not? Okay, so it's actually another job. Alright, so in the first place, your job scope. Okay, so as an auditor, you have to know your job scope. Alright, because whatever that you do is actually obliged to go back to your job scope. So your job scope now is to do engagement review, and by right you should not actually provide advice. Okay, and of course on the tax planning further, as a junior you are not eligible because you are inexperienced. Alright, you have less knowledge, less experience and so on. Okay, correct. Ariani tadi. Okay.
Yes, madam.
Noted okay, so the rest noted what is actually the key issue, right? So the key issue is actually advice. Okay, you are actually not supposed to give advice, right? Because sometimes you might be, let's say you give advice, doesn't matter lah whether you are senior ke, you are partner ke, manager ke, suddenly you give advice and client rely on your advice, and then after that there is something wrong happen, they blame you. Okay, you see, you give advice, so we rely on your advice, and then we follow you, and then something bad happen to the company. So you are actually negligent in giving your advice. See, that's how it can be turned out. So this part we will actually cover in the professional liability part. Okay, but before, in order to tackle the issues, that is actually the issue. Okay, so what actually you do is goes back to your job scope. Okay, all right. So noted on this para what is actually the issue. Okay, next. Okay, I open to any para, whoever would like to volunteer. Come on. Okay, this
Madam.
yes, go ahead, Atira.
I want to try para number 4. The two juniors
All
were
right.
given
Okay.
task of auditing
All right.
payables. Okay.
All right.
I think the issues is that they review each other works.
Review each other works. So is it right or wrong?
Yeah. I think that is wrong because first of all they are juniors. They are incompetent, and second is that it is considered as self-review among them. So
Yeah.
I think there is threat to independence.
Yep. True. Correct. Okay. Perfect answer. Okay. There's also another issue in that. Of course, in exam you have to explain further lah. I mean, the points is there, the key points are there. Okay, but you have to put in proper sentence lah. Okay, next, still any other? Okay, Syaratul, want to try?
Yes, madam.
Okay, go ahead.
Alright. On the third paragraph,
Okay, start with the audit has been quite time pressure ke?
but
Okay,
on this on the third sentence,
okay,
the manager instructed us not to use the audit from statistical sampling methods.
okay, alright. What
Uh,
is actually the issue?
because as Atila had said, the junior auditors might not be that competent yet. So if they pick sample based on their own judgment, it may not it may not be the right judgment.
Okay,
Instead, we should use the statistical sampling method.
okay. Alright, that one is partially correct. Okay. Any other explanation you want to add on?
Madam, can I try?
Yes, please go ahead. I'm looking for just another alternative.
I
Good.
think
Thanks, Syaratul. Okay, proceed.
that is major threats to independence, which is the time pressure.
Time pressure. Oh, now you're talking about another point actually.
Yes.
Okay, I'm still
Because they were in rush and because they cut short the audit procedure, which is the audit procedure is actually very crucial for the auditors itself.
okay. All right. Is it audit procedure alone?
No, that is one of the factors that lead to.
Okay. Any other would like to point out? Still talking about time pressure or sampling method?
Madam,
Yes, go ahead.
my name is Hadi. In my opinion, if the company is being pressured due to if there are any other we
Hadi.
auditor.
Okay. You have to be careful when you write.
Okay. So if the auditor have pressure, the time pressure, if there are no other constraints, I suggest that the auditor should reject because they cannot do their work objectively.
Okay, all right. Okay, because I just want, if you take note, all right, okay. Yes, it's correct. When you're talking about time pressure, you cut short audit procedure, which is wrong. Okay, that is already wrong. Okay, that point is also correct. But just furthermore, if you look further, yes, go ahead.
I would like to add on regards with the time pressure.
Okay, go ahead.
Before they start the field work, right? They have
Mhm.
done the audit planning.
Alright.
The reason of why there's the time pressure is because they are not doing the audit planning properly, because they are
Okay.
unable to identify what should be done
Okay,
in
correct.
accordance to the time given by the company for them to complete all the audit procedure and all.
Alright, so that
So
means
the
they are
issue
actually
is
in
for the starting, which is turning.
proper audit planning. Alright, that is also correct. If I myself doing the checking, I accept that answer. Okay, because it's also one of the possibility why you have time pressure. But that one is actually the fact is not mentioned inside the case. Okay, but if you think that way, for me, since I already work as an auditor, I do accept that facts. Right, so you see, your answer not. I actually will apply knowledge of when you work as an auditor, what is actually necessary to be done. Okay, but normally the answer of the student is actually beyond the schema. Okay, still come back to the time pressure, right? Just want to highlight to you, of course, when you have time pressure, you cut short your procedure. Okay, that is one issue. Okay, another issue, right? Because here they mentioned that, okay, not to perform some of the planned audit procedure on items such as directors' emolument and share capital. Okay, alright. So you did not do audit on a particular item, which is if you know this item are actually disclosure item. Right, disclosure item. Okay, so you might end up into your true and fair opinion. That means you might not be given true and fair opinion because some of the item which you're supposed to check, you did not check. You see, so apart from audit procedure, also if you can tackle this part, this also can be accepted. Okay, all right. Okay, sampling method. Anyone who like to add on?
Me, madam? Yes. So the
I tak nampak lah siapa. Your name?
Akram, one was
Okay,
Akram.
Okay.
So the sampling methods, the
Okay.
auditor shouldn't do the sample based on judgment because they might not get enough sample to represent the whole population. Plus, they might miss any sample that should be key items that may be above their tolerable error.
Okay. Betul dah tu, tolerable error. Okay. But still, judgment always apply in sampling. Okay, regardless whether you use statistical or non-statistical method. Okay, so you cannot say that wrong judgment. Apa tadi cakap? Something with the judgment. Okay, you still have to apply judgment. Okay, you still have to apply judgment. It's just that how you do your judgment, how you do your sampling method too is actually very important. Okay, that means your basis of selection. Okay, and then so you must follow, even though if you do not want to do statistical, but still you have the non-statistical method of sampling method. Okay, so again, judgment still applied, but you cannot pass being an junior auditor. Again, going back to the issue of competence and also experience. Okay, thank you, Akram. Alright, so we are done with that para. Okay, moving on. Still have few more para. We have not yet detect the issues. Okay. Yes, go ahead. I did not see the blinking. Give your name.
Yeah.
I have to put the screen, smaller screen. Okay.
I think the next paragraph, right, how the junior auditor is asked to calculate the deferred tax, given that they recently just studied it at college. I think this is an issue of the competence as well, and how the audit manager used the amount that was given by the junior auditor without doing it. So issue of competence and independence there.
Okay. Alright. Any other would like to try with regard to the issue? If you get something else different from what has been said just now? Just in case. I know in answers always have someone with different answer. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Which issue, madam?
This para yang deferred tax ni.
Oh, okay. As far as I'm
Just
concerned.
now she's mentioned about competence. Auditor, junior auditor is not competent to do deferred tax. Okay. Any other point of view?
Okay, madam. In this para, they also said that they did not audit the deferred tax position, right?
Okay.
So since that is for me, it is incorrect because if you don't audit the deferred tax asset properly, it may the financial report may portray false information. So
Ya ke?
and
Sebabnya
it
deferred
also
tax asset
may
tu.
yeah, of course,
It's not deferred
but
tax liability. I'm just testing you.
asset or deferred.
Okay. So how?
Because if deferred tax asset, we would disclose in notes. So of course, it is deferred tax. It may be true or it not may be true. But if it is true, or if some of it is true, then it would portray false information. So the users of the financial statements may have different interpretation because of false deferred tax asset.
Alright. So you're talking about false information being disclosed.
Yeah, madam. Yeah, madam.
Okay. Because you did not audit. Okay, so just now talking about auditors not competent, and then now you're talking about you did not because you did not audit, which you should audit. Okay, any other point of view? In case lah. That means you have the answer still not yet there lah. Okay, any other point of view?
Madam?
Yes, go ahead.
I think the other issue is they're doing the competition for the company when the competition should have been done by the management.
Exactly, correct. Perfect answer, Intan. Thank you. You want to proceed further?
Because we're doing audit for the company, right? So
yes,
when we do it for them, we won't be able to know what they will present to us if they did it themselves. So they don't know what they would do wrong.
Okay, so in the first place, you are doing audit. Okay, so that means you are not supposed to do management account for them. Okay, that means help them in doing their management account. What happen if you help them? Okay, let's say you say, oh, you kesian kan, and then you already expert, okay, in doing deferred tax. Okay, you already know how to use. So you help them to compute and you pass your working to them. So what happened after that? You do the audit of that, right? So what is the implication? Then you actually having a self-review thread because you are actually doing the working for them, which is management account work. Then you do the audit on that. So it is actually self-review. Okay, so that's why you have to understand. You actually come to the client office to do audit, so you have to do audit. You cannot provide advisory, you cannot provide accounting work, okay, because that is actually a different job scope. Okay, so I hope so this is where if you able to, how should I say, this is where sometimes students find it difficult, okay, in identify the issue. So I hope through this exercise you will be able, okay, to understand how to detect issues. Okay, so here is actually doing management work, okay, which is actually not supposed to be done because it will actually end up into self-review. Okay, all right. So I think planning. Okay, so all right. Any questions on the issues that already being highlighted just now? Any other part that you are not clear? You want me to explain? You're not doing the yes, go ahead.
I want to ask regarding the calculation that you mentioned just now, right? So, let's say if the management already give the calculated deferred tax asset, and then from the audit part, from the auditor parts, we also make our own computation, and then we found that there's a difference between the competition and our competition. So
That one common.
yeah,
We make
for
an
that
adjustment.
thing, is it we're going to make adjustments, so we're going to advise them, right?
Propose adjustment. We are not make adjustment because
Oh, we're
remember, accounts too all belong to management, all belong to clients. So you actually cannot simply change client's figure. So when the one that you mentioned just now, client do their work, we do our computation. So we always compare. That one is common in all parts of the financial statement. Okay, like impairment of doubtful debts and so on. So always we do our part, we do our calculation, and then we check against client calculation. So whatever the difference, normally we see lah. Is it going to propose adjustment? Again, we go back to maturity level, we go back to the tolerable amount. Is it acceptable errors or is it non-acceptable errors? And then we decide, okay, whether should we proceed with the adjustment or not, significant or not, and so on. Okay, so that's what happened. That one is a common
Alright.
procedure. Okay, good.
Alright, thank you, madam.
Okay. Any other? Or any other who like me to explain further?
Madam.
Yes.
Hello, madam.
Yes, yes.
Regarding the statistical sampling method, I'm quite unclear on that ethical issue.
Okay, statistical sampling method, what happened is that, okay, it's like this, when you do audit procedure, okay, when you do audit procedure is that, because last time in the traditional audit, we always go for sampling, okay, because let's say when we go for a client have thousands of transactions, so definitely we will not be able to test every single thing. Alright, because nowadays in data-driven audit is a bit different, Okay, so let's talking about traditional audit. Okay, so what happened is that you have the option whether you want to go for statistical sampling. If you have the tools, then normally you can go for statistical sampling. That means you have the software. Okay, but if you don't have the software, then you want to go for non-statistical sampling. So whichever method that you apply, statistical or non-statistical, you still apply judgment. Okay, you still apply judgment. Right, the only thing is that now he purposely instructed not to use the firm statistical sampling method. Okay, so that means now you actually non-comply to the firm practices. Right, you actually non-comply to the firm practices, because if you go work in any audit firm, they would have their standard procedure lah. Okay, they would have standard procedure. Of course, that is the purpose for them to control the quality of the audit work. Alright, so when you non-comply, you already go beyond the requirement of the firm practices. That is where the issue. Okay, because here we don't have further information. How much is the receivable balance? Okay, is it significant or not, and so on. Alright, so that's why you can further explain that. Okay, make your own assumption saying that perhaps the amount trade receivable is actually huge. So it is actually not relevant, okay, to or not not suitable to apply judgment. Okay, for instance, since now you're doing a non-statistical method, you actually just go by that. Okay, we pick the top 20 trade receivable, just like that. Okay, alright, because old days in traditional audit, right, when we do not use statistical sampling, that's normally what happened. Normally we take, okay, whatever amount in the trade receivable aging above 10,000. Why 10,000? Why not 50,000? Why not 20,000? This is where the judgment come in. And again,